The restaurant glowed with a kind of deliberate warm temporary lights suspendedla, their reflections obtaining the edges of everything they touched. White tablecloth streets across polished wood tables lie blank canvases, already marked with the promise of spilled wine and pensive conversations. They carried the scent of rosemary, butter, and something faintly sweet vanilla, maybe meant to relax people before they even sat down. Ethan Cole urged it just for the third time since he had arrived there. It wasn't crooked. He knew that. It checked each reflection in the darkened window beside their table twice already. Still, which his fingers moved to it again, tugging, smooching, giving himself something to do. Relax, Laura whispered beside him. Her voice la intimate. She slid her hand beneath the tablecloth and squeezed William's knee. You look great. I promise it. He turned toward her, and for a moment, everything else faded. Laura was wearing a raw green dress that hugged her waist and flowed just enough to suggest confidence rather than demand attention. Her hair fell effortlessly over one shoulder, and the small gold necklace given her on their 5th anniversary rested against her collarbone. After 8 years of marriage, she still did this to him. Still made to each his chest tighten with that quiet, familiar pride. Not possession, not jealousy, just the deep, steady certainty that this was each's life, which is partner, which is home. You about better appreciate how good each's employees clean up, Ethan murmured. Laura smiled. That sharp, intelligent smile that had always drawn people in. Victor appreciates everything. Trust me. Victor Alvarez sat at the head of the long table, already commanding attention to it or trying. He had that effortless authoritative sweet, confident posture, left that filled space with overwhelming 80. The kind of man who could make a contact with everyone in the room and still seem present. Ethan had met him twice before. Company holiday party. A fundraising gala. Each time, Victor had remembered each's name. Asked about construction projects. Made Ethan feel included in a world that doesn't really is. Tonight was different. Tonight was a celebration. Victor's marketing firm had landed a major account one that would reap bonuses and promotions through the company for years. Spouses had been invited, which was how Ethan found himself surrounded by men and women who spoke fluently in quarterly projections, branding strategies, and market dominance. Victor's wife, Margaret, said to which he is right. She wore a politismal that never fully reached her age, nothing familiar anecdotes like someone listening to a song she'd heard far too many times. 4 other couples filled out the table, left rising and falling in practice to waves. Ethan took a sip of each's wine each's second glass, though it felt like more and treat value a conversation about digital engagement methods. Constructions more straightforward, he often there was a pause. You power concrete. IT Ether holds already diesent. A few people choke a red politella. Laura shined in this environment. Shaw Louise hit. Her insights were sharp, delivered with confidence but never arrogance. When she spoke, Victor listened. When she left, others followed. Ethan watched the thought way her posture shifted, how she leaned in when Victor addressed her directly, how quickly she responded to each excuse. She's just good at her job, Ethan told himself. The waiter repeated again, bottle in hand. Not round. Victor asked, already nodding before anyone could answer. Glasses were filled. Margaret excused herself to the restroom, murmuring something about freshening up. That was when the atmosphere changed there. It wasn't dramatic. No sudden silence. No obvious trigger. Just a subtle shift, like a familiar song slipping into a different. Victor leaned back in each chair. One arm dropped casually over their back. His gaze swept the table, not predator, but assessing. You know what I appreciate about our team, he said. A few people murmured agreement. Everyone brings something unique, Victor continued. Different strengths, different instincts, which essays landed on Laura. Take Laura, he said. Brilliant mind, incredible instinct. Ethan smiled faintly. Victor paused. And, he added slowly, impeccable taste in everything too. Laura smiled prettily, but Ethan noticed it. The slight stiffness in her shoulders. The way her spine straightened, almost imperceptibly. Seriously, though, Victor went on, with his words obtaining at the edges. It that attention to detail that separates good from great. He swirled the wine in which his glass. If you always wondered, he said, looking directly at Laura now, do you bring that same secret approach to everything? Yet Hans' fingers tightened round with his firework. Victor jeered vaguely with his hint. Like, even down to what color ondroer you чувствовать. The word seemed to pause. Yet Hans' firework slipped from his fingers, glittering lowered against the plate. Conversation diet instantly. Someone cleared their throat. Someone else stirred their glass as if it contained the secrets of the universe. Laura's face flushed not the soft pink of embarrassment, but a sharp, angry crimson. Ethan stood. Excuse me, he said, which was only strong to which on his fleet, cold, unfamiliar. Victor left, raising his hints. Oh, he. Just joking around, man. Your old friends here. That's not a joke, Ethan said. We gesture scraped loudly against the floor. Laura grabbed his wrist under the table. Ethan, she hissed. Sit down, Tuck. He didn't. The blood roared in with his ears. Victor smirked. The way the others did a contact. The urging seeing Laura's grip not to defend herself, but to stop him. Apologize to moей, Ethan said. Victor's smile faded. I think you're everything. Everything happened fast after that. Ethan moved round the table. Victor stood. Yet Hans' fist connected with Victor's jaw with a sound that echoed too loudly for such an elegant room. Victor stumbled backward, knocking over a wine glass. Red liquid spread across the white blacklight, blooming like blood. Chaos erupted. Someone shouted. Shins grabbed at Hans' arms. Margaret returned from the restroom screaming Victor's name. But Ethan saw only Laura. She wasn't shocked. She wasn't grateful. She was furious. What the hell is wrong with you? She shouted. The words cut deeper than anything Victor had said. As they were pulled apart, as security moved in, as the evening collapsed into noise and scandal, Ethan realized something with devastating clarity. Laura wasn't angry at Victor. She was angry at him. For making a scene. For exposing something. For disrupting a balance she had been trying to maintain. They left in silence. The drive home felt endless. The apartment, when they walked in, felt smaller than it ever had. Laura kicked off her heels violently. One hit the wall with a sharp crack. Ethan loosened his tie. His knuckles were already swelling, and the lie he thought he knew had just begun to unravel. The apartment felt round the moment the door closed behind Aaron. Not quiet terhalrur. The familiar hum of the refrigerator, the faint ticking of the wall clock, even the muted city noise outside the windows all seemed exaggerated now, like sounds in an empty theater after the audience has left. Ethan stood near the entryway, which his tie loose round his neck, jacket still on, unsure what to do with his hands. Laura moved first. She kicked off her heels with fires, one striking the wall and bouncing onto the floor with a sharp tack. The sound echoed louder than it should have. She paced across the living room, dragging her fingers through her hair, breath coming fast and shallow. Do you have any idea, she began, turning toward him suddenly, what you were just doing? Ethan blinked. What you were doing? He repeated quietly. She let out a sharp, humorously. You were assaulted at my boss. In front of everyone. Clients. Colleagues. HR nightmares. Do you understand what that means? He humiliated you, Ethan said. Oiche's voice was steady, almost detached. Publicly? You assaulted him, she shot back. That's not the same thing. The words hit him harder than he expected. I defended my wife. I didn't need defending. She spun away from him, pacing again, hands trembling now. You don't understand how things work in that office. You don't understand the dynamics. You made everything worse. Ethan stared at her. Really stared. Not the woman it kissed goodbye that morning. Not the partner it built routines and plans with. But the woman standing across from him, now arms crossed defensively, is darting everywhere except which his ways. Something inside him shifted. How? He asked so swiftly. How did I make it worse? You embarrassed him, she said. You embarrassed me. Do you know what that is to my debility? Each ability should be questioned for asking about your own truth. She stopped pacing. For a moment, she looked almost tired. Warren, Ethan, she said, lowering her voice, you don't get it. No, he replied. I think I finally do it. Silence settled between them, thick and uncomfortable. Ethan took a step closer. How long? He asked. She frowned. How long what? He swallowed, which is hard-pounded, but his voice remained calm. How long have you been sleeping with Victor? The color drained from her face so fast it was frightening. What? She laughed weakly. That is insane. You're paranoid. I am I. He took another step. Your reaction tonight, he continued. The way you weren't angry at him. The way you were terrified of what I did, not what he said. The way you kept checking to see if he was okay. She turned away, wrapping her arms round herself. Ethan. How long? The silence stretched. Seconds felt like minutes. The clock ticked loudly on the wall, marking time like a you'd guess gavel. When she finally spoke, her voice barely rose the air above a whisper. It didn't mean anything to. The words landed like a physical blow. Ethan reached back and gripped the edge of the couch to steady himself. Didn't mean anything, he repeated, numb. It just happened, she said quickly, words spilling now. We worked late. There was chemistry. It wasn't planned to. She turned back to him, tears spilling freely now. But it's over. It was already over. Ethan let out a slow breath through ucheasness. Over? He said. He asked about your honor at a company dinner. That's because it's bitter, she snapped. I ended it 2 weeks ago. It's been passive-aggressive ever since. 2 weeks. Yet Hans' mind reeled. 2 weeks ago, it'd been researching anniversary getaways, comparing hotels, thinking about surprising her with a bracelet she casually maintained months earlier. 2 weeks ago, she'd come home late, kissed him, curled into bed beside him like nothing was wrong. How long? He asked again. She hesitated. Laura, 6 months, 6 months. Half a year. The room seemed to tilt. 6 months of lies. Of late nights and unexplained absences. Of her phone always weighs down. Of distracted conversations and tired smiles. He had trusted her. I need you to leave, he said suddenly. What? She looked up sharply. I need you to leave too. This is my apartment too. Then I will too. He walked past her, grabbing whiskey and wildly from the counter. Where are you going? She demanded. He paused at the door. Somewhere I can't think to. He looked back at her one last time. Don't call me. The door closed behind him with a quiet finality. Oichia's brother didn't ask questions. Marcus opened the door, took one look at Ethan swollen across and Halace, and stepped aside. Beer. Marcus asked. Ethan nodded. He collapsed onto the couch, staring at the ceiling fan as a teaspoon lazily air above him, replaying the last 6 months in brutal clarity. The sickness had been there. He just unwanted to sit there, which his phone was constantly on the coffee table. Laura, Laura, Laura. He ignored every call. By morning, something inside him hit the throat. He isn't going to fight. He isn't going to beg. He isn't going to scream or explain or demand apologies. He would simply step away. Some betrayals don't require revenge. They require absence. Monday morning came without ceremony. No dramatic sunrise. No sense of revelation. Just grey light filtering through Martha's living room curtains and the distant sound of traffic beginning a true earthquake. Ethan lay awake on the couch long before his alarm, staring at the faint white stain on the ceiling he'd never noticed before, which his phone rested face down on the coffee table. I think he'd stopped buzzing sometime around 3 in the morning. Not because Laura had given up, but because it finally silenced IT. Ethan showered, dressed, and left for work as if nothing had changed there. And yet everything had. At the construction city, concrete was being powered before dawn, steam rising as IT hit the cold air. Workers shouted measurements, engines roared, metal clanged there. The war didn't pause for broken marriages. IT never did. Itran welka zet. Plan still niet dit reviewing. Crew still niet dit managing. Safety protocol still met. He buried himself in the positionality of it zo it was a hard hit on his head, the grit on his boots, the ache in his shoulders by mid of turn on. Pain with purpose felt better than pain who eat or taiti. That night, he returned to Martha's place, exhausted enough to sleep dreamlessly. Laura didn't stop trying. Her messages shifted in tone with frightening predictability. First came apologies. Please answer. Im Sauri. I made a mistake. Ten desperation. I can't breathe without you. Please talk to me. Ten anger. You're being cruel. You're punishing me. Itran read none of them. Silence. He learned, did something words never could. It forced people to sit alone with their choices. 2 weeks passed. On a Tuesday morning, Itran returned to the apartment while Laura was at work. Zack still fit. The place looked exactly as it left it through Pelos range they just saw. Her shoulders below the door, the faint scent of her shampoo lingering in the air. He didn't linger. He packed methodically. Clothes, toiletries, a few books. The framed water from their honeymoon in Portugal he turned it ways down in the box. When he reached the kitchen, he slipped his wedding ring off and placed it carefully on the counter. No note. There was nothing left to say. Marcus helped him move the boxes into a style rich you need that evening. You want to talk about IT? Marcus asked, sliding the last box into place. Not yet. Marcus nodded. Couch is yours as long as you need IT. Itran threw himself deeper into work. Construction sites didn't care about heartbreak. Concrete didn't care. Steel didn't care. The exhaustion was honest. One afternoon, security escorted Laura out of his job city. He didn't watch. Her parents called. He told them to ask their daughter. He didn't explain, didn't accuse, didn't defend himself. He simply withdrew, and the silence spread. 2 weeks later, an unknown number appeared on H.'s phone. Against H.'s better judgment, he answered. Ethan, a man's voice said, "This is Margaret Alvarez." H.'s stomach dropped. "I'm not calling to apologize," she said sharply. "I found something, and I think you deserve it to say I did." Moments later, screenshots arrived there. Messages. Months word. Laura and Victor. Intimate. Mocking. Carols. One message burned itself into Ethan's mind. He suspects nothing. Poor Ethan. So trusting. Margaret's voice came back on the line. "Victor confessed," she said. "Multiple affairs. Your wife wasn't special. Just convenient. A pause. I forwarded everything to HR this morning, too." When the call ended, Ethan stared at the screen. Vindication didn't feel like victory. IT felt empty. That evening, Laura called from a different number. "If been suspended," she said through her sobs. "They know everything." Ethan listened. "What happens now," he said quietly, "is just the aftermath." He blocked the number. The investigation moved faster than Ethan expected. He learned about it the way he learned about most things lately indirectly, through fragments, over-heard remarks, and second-hand conversations that reached him whether he wanted them to or not. Construction sites had a way of circulating news quickly. Someone always knew someone. Someone always had a cousin or a friend in marketing or HR. Victor Alvarez had been terminated. Not as to resigned, not transcended out, terminated. The company moved decisively, almost aggressively, as if speed itself could erase liability. The internal policies where clear relationships between supervisors and subordinates were forbidden. Secret ones, especially those accompanied by favoritism, were cherry-ending. Margaret Alvarez had been terror. She ain't just forwarded messages. She documented timelines, compared project assignments, promotions, performance reviews. Patterns emerged there were Danielle once lived there. HR didn't have to speculate. The evidence package clearly enough. Victor's severance was minimal. BG's reputation took a far greater hit. Within days, the story report overturned. Not lowered at first in public statements, press-release is bad privatele, oor reputations met teert most. In professional circles, iskendo dient niet headlines. IT niet dit whispers. Margaret filed for divorce immediately. She got the house. Primary custody of their children. Most of the assets. Victor moved out within the week. Iedereen felt na satisfaction hearing IT. Only a week heavens for the children. For Margaret, for the co-destruction that spread outward from selfish choices. Laura lasted 2 more weeks under investigation. Then she was let go. No severance. No references. In an industry built on networks and trust, her name became radioactive. She tried to reach Ethan through mutual friends. Emily Foster called one evening. Ethan, Emily said carefully, she's falling apart. Ethan leaned against the kitchen counter at Martha's place, phone pressed to his ear. She lost her job, her marriage. Everything? Take. She didn't lose everything. Ethan replied evenly. She gave IT Rui. You could help her? Emily insisted. At least talk to her. WGI. So she can feel better about herself. Ethan asked, so she can rewrite what happened. A pause. Tchats called to it. No, he said. Tchats boundaries to it. Emily didn't call her again. A month after he left, Ethan sat across from a lawyer signing divorce papers. Laura had contested nothing. She'd sold their forward too. The apartment went to him, he made the down payment, kept up the mortgage. Shirt assets were divided evenly, though there wasn't much worth fighting over. She's requested a meeting, the lawyer said. Before the final decree, Ethan considered IT. Set IT up to it. They met at a coffee shop. Neutral ground. Laura looked smaller, thinner. Her polished confidence gone, replaced by dark circles and a hoodie pulled tight round her frame. I don't expect forgiveness, she said softly. I just want you to know I understand now. Ethan listened. He didn't interrupt. When she finished, he leaned forward. This isn't revenge, he said quietly. I didn't destroy your life. I just stopped protecting you from your own choices. She didn't argue. They parted without drama, without promises, without hope. 6 months passed quietly. Not in the way movies poetry, healing, no sudden breakthroughs, no sweeping montages of transformation, but in small, almost unnoticeable increments. They stacked on top of one another. Weeks blurred, pain dilated, not because it vanished, but because it was no longer fed. Ethan stood in the middle of the apartment one evening, hands on each his hips, surveying the space. IT was the same apartment, and IT wasn't. The walls had been repainted clean, neutral and that reflected light instead of absorbing IT. The furniture was new, funzional, chosen deliberately. Gone were the framed wedding photos, the carefully curated soap-less decor, the soft evidence of a shared identity. In their place were landscapes, mountains, forests. Abel's hit a photograph of a bridge under construction, steel bones rising toward open sky. IT felt like OGS. The divorce papers had arrived on a Tuesday. No drama, no violent confrontation. Just a thick envelope slid through the mail slot like any other bill. Ethan appended IT at the kitchen counter, scanned the vinyl language, and signs were indicated. He waited for something. Relief, a sadness, anger. What came instead was neutrality. A quiet acceptance that surprised him with its care and politeness. IT was done. Work had become a answer. The assertion of housing project downtown consumed him in the best way designed challenges, logistical nightmares, environmental constraints that required creativity instead of brute force. For the first time in years, he felt fully present in UDS work. ICS supervisor noticed. A promotion was hinted at. Nothing guaranteed, but something earned. Martha's wife tried to set him up once. Just coffee, she said. No pressure to it. Ethan declined politely. Not yet, took. He meant IT. He isn't afraid of being alone anymore, but he isn't interested in filling silence with noise, either. Through mutual connections, fragments of Laura's life reached him. She'd moved back in with her parents. Taken a job at her fat care accounting firm. Nothing glamorous. Steady. She was in therapy. Living in a small studio apartment now. Rebuilding slowly. Ethan felt no satisfaction in that knowledge. No bitterness. Either. Just distance. Victor had moved to another city. Which is career damage there. Which is marriage dissolved there. Ethan thought of Margaret and the children more than he thought of Victor himself. Collateral damage had a way of lingering. One evening, a handwritten letter arrived there. Laura's handwriting was unmistakable. Ethan almost threw a tear on a pen. Instead, he read it. Once. Tenor again. The words were honest in a way she'd never been before. No self-pity. No justification. Just clarity late. Cowardly clarity. When he finished, he folded the letter neatly and placed it in a drawer. Not as a trophy. Not as evidence. Just as closure. Forgiveness wasn't necessary. Understanding was enough. That weekend, Ethan went hiking with Marcus and his family. The trail wound throughout human woods, leaves crunching beneath their boots, they crisp and sharp in each lungs. Marcus' kids ran ahead, laughing, cowling cow discoveries like they were treasures. You seem better, Marcus said. I am, Ethan replied. Ready to die yet? Ethan smiled. Maybe take. They reached a clearing overlooking the valley. The city stretched out in the distance, small and manageable from this height. Ethan thought about the past year. The dinner, the punch, the silence, the rebuilding. It learned something. That walking wasn't weakness. That silence could be powerful. That refusing to carry someone else's guilt was a form of strength. Uncle Ethan, yes, Niskault. Come see this rock. He smiled and he did toward her voice. Toward family. Toward a future unburdened. The storm had passed. The rebuilding continued. And that was enough.